Yo, listen up, here's a story about a little guy that lives in a blue world. And all day and all night and everything he sees is just blue, like him. Inside and outside, blue his house with a blue little window and a blue Corvette. And everything is blue for him and himself and everybody around, 'cause he ain't got nobody to listen. Hello and welcome back. So this week we're going on to another one of my all-time favourite franchises, Sonic the Hedgehog. We're actually going to do Sonic the Hedgehog. This is so exciting. So let's get started. So Sonic the Hedgehog, where do we begin? There are already so many brilliant videos out there on YouTube covering everything under the sun about Sonic the Hedgehog. Everything from retrospectives to reviews to, modified versions of the game. Everything. It's already been done. So there's not really much point in me making a video. So that's me done. I'll see you next week, guys. Bye-bye. Where do I start with how I got into Sonic the Hedgehog? I remember going round to a friend of the family's house and they had a Mega Drive. And obviously they had Sonic the Hedgehog. I also remember that house, the friends of the family's children telling me it was haunted. And I just remember Sonic being so colourful and so vibrant and exciting and fast, and I remember that title screen with all the blues everywhere. I'm blue, da-ba-dee-ba-da-die, da-ba-dee-da-ba-die, da-ba-dee-ba-da-die, da-ba-dee-da-ba. And I just remember thinking how brilliant it was, and it just caught everyone's attention in the 90s. Up to that point, I played lots of 2D platform games. I had an Amiga, so I played them all, and there were loads of brilliant ones, but something about Sonic that just got it spot on. What I'm going to do is what I've done with some of my past videos. We're going to look at my least favourite zones through to my favourite zones. We're not going to say worst. We're not going to say worst, a bit negative. Least favourite through to favourite. Because the zones were my favourite thing about Sonic the Hedgehog. There's all the different areas, the music. We're going to look at all of it. So, let's do it. My least favourite zone was Spring Yard Zone. Just felt a little bit vague. It didn't have as much of an identity as all the other zones in this game. It had loads of things I liked. I loved the sweeping lights around the levels and the sort of neon bars you can see in the background. The soundtrack was sort of interesting. It had quite a serious tone to it, and it would sort of drop into this funfair style, really friendly sounding music. The level was quite barren. There wasn't many badniks around, it felt quite empty at times. And it was the third zone in the game, and by this point I think the level design was starting to feel a little bit recycled. There was new elements in this level, like there were loads and loads of springs, you'd fly up into the air a lot, which was great. The zone started really going up at this point, using the springs, and that was really interesting. We hadn't seen much of that up to there. There were lots of sort of bumpers to bounce off. It laid the foundations for kind of better versions, you could say, of this zone in later games. You're going to hear me saying a lot of that in this video, laying foundations for a better version. On the background you can see sort of Purple City, which I really liked, sort of very industrial looking. Just wasn't amazing. We're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. The standards are so high. I like the Robotnik fight at the end of this one where he comes down and starts taking the floor away from you, so you got less place to stand. Kind of one of the more inventive Robotnik fights. Some of them are a bit, we'll come to that later. Yeah, just the least distinctive zone for me. So next up, my second least favourite zone was the Labrum Zone. Now this is one of the most universally hated zones and levels in any game of all time, and I understand why. The movement is incredibly slow and sluggish. That's not what actually bothers me about it. I'm not someone who's like, oh my god, Sonic has to be going fast all the time. He has to be zooming through the levels. I hate it when it stops. Like, no, I think Sonic can do lots of different things. Yeah, of course there should be really fast bits, but it doesn't have to be fast all the time. This zone has problems. The setting of it, I adore this idea of like, it kind of looks like an underwater ruin of some sort of lost civilization you're exploring. I love that. One of the main mechanics in this level was the fact you were underwater a lot of the time and you had to collect air bubbles. If you didn't collect air bubbles, you know what happens. There's way too many hidden traps, way too many. Didn't really like the soundtrack for this. I didn't think it suited it at all. It's kind of jaunty when they should have had a more aquatic sounding theme to it. A bit where you have to switch to waterfalls, the puzzle just keeps repeating itself and you just keep falling in the same way until you pull a switch to jump behind the waterfall. I like that, that's quite ingenious for its time. The fight with Dr. Robotnik at the end was, it was alright. You had to escape him and the water level would keep rising. Another thing I liked about this level, water levels going up and down. This is a really great mechanic. It could have been used more, but it wasn't used in the best way. That's Labrum Zone. I like the overall concept, don't like the way it was executed. Next up, we have Marble Zone. This is the second zone in the game, and gameplay slows down considerably compared to the zone before it. Lots of waiting for traps, lots of underground sections in tight areas. I didn't mind it so much. I mean, maybe it slowed down a little bit too much, but generally it was a nice change of pace to be doing something different, to be pressing buttons, to get to new areas, and using blocks to activate different things. It was nice. I like the setting, I like the marble temple. I thought that looked it was a really cool look. Interesting music, again, in the minor key, quite serious and a little bit sad sounding, but I like that. The music across Sonic and across the first two Sonic games was absolutely fantastic. Some of the best video game music of all time. There's lots of lava and fire in this level, which is nice. I like the bits where you step on the floor and it catches fire and you have to quickly jump off it. Very, very nice. Maybe the underground sections go on a little bit too long for that to say anything. Yeah, Marble Zone is fine. My third favourite zone is the Scrap Brain Zone. This is right towards the end of the game. You know, things are getting serious now, and this is reflected in the soundtrack. Very, very futuristic and dangerous sounding, really letting you know, you've made it to the end and things are only going to get harder from here. I love the backgrounds, a glowing red industrial background, and in the underground section, sort of microchip background. I really like how the game goes on. It gets more and more industrial. I'm assuming that's with Dr. Robotnik's storyline that he's sort of taking over the... Where is it set? Oh, not great. Should know that for a Sonic fan. I don't know where it's set. Is it something like South Island? The idea is taking over South Island and making it all industrial. And by this point, everything's industrial. I love that. There's some really great imagery in this level. There's these strange spheres that shoot out electricity. Lots and lots of traps. Really difficult, but rightly so. You know, we're at the end of the game. There's gears that Sonic can get on and spin round and jump up. I really like the third zone where Robotnik sort of banishes you to an alternate version of the Labyrinth Zone. It's grey. The water is no longer blue.
I have a blue house with a blue window. Blue is the color of all that I wear. Blue all the streets and all the trees are too. I have a boyfriend and he is so blue.
The Labyrinth Zone's all greyed out and the water's now toxic. I don't really get what it's meant. I'm assuming it's meant to be Dr. Robotnik's taken over this bit or something. If anyone hardcore Sonic fans know what that's meant to represent, like actually know, please let me know in the comments. I just think it's really cool. But yeah, that's the end. You have to climb back out of that at the end of that zone to go into the final stage. It's a really great sort of last zone before you hit the final boss. My second favourite zone is the Starlight Zone. The Starlight Zone. How can you go wrong? For starters, it's got my favourite soundtrack in the whole game. This really peaceful, relaxing, flowing music that's got a slightly sort of Christmassy feel to it. This zone comes after the Labyrinth Zone, so after that you are ready for a bit of relief. And it's still difficult, but there's a lot more sections that emphasize speed. I know I said I don't need Sonic to be fast all the time, but when Sonic is fast and there are those sections of speed where he whizzes around, That's when it really is at its absolute best, and the Starlight Zone is a perfect example of this. You've got the backdrop of like a sparkly, twinkly night sky, then the foreground you're in a more industrial looking theme, kind of looks like you're on scaffolding high above the sky. Really nice, really peaceful. There's lots of sort of these interesting looking futuristic lampposts and lots of neat little imagery like that. There's not much else I can say about this level. It came just at the right time after Labrum Zone. Feels kind of memorable and quite magical. Before I reveal my favourite zone, kind of obvious what it is now, but I'll quickly talk about the special zones. Quite obscure, quite random, there's sort of printed animals on the back wall, nothing to do with the game. I don't mind that. I like that games could just be like, oh well, we'll just have some obscure changing imagery on the back. It twists around and Sonic sort of bangs around in there and you have to get to the middle to find the Chaos Emerald. Interesting enough though, and different enough. You know, the special stage should always be very different to the main game. I like that, a different gameplay, a different gameplay mechanic, and this is something that later Sonic games follow on. The special stage should be special, and it is. It's different, it's colourful in a different way to the rest of the game. And yeah, overall, I like the special stage. The final zone, it's alright, there's not much to it, it's just kind of you and then facing off against Robotnik for the last time. It's quite easy, it's not that memorable. It's fine, you know, and back in these days it did look pretty cool. Again, it's the last time I'm going to say it, it set the foundation for final zones in the later games, which are a lot more memorable, as we will see coming soon. Okay, I know it's a little obvious, but at number one, it's got to be Green Hill Zone. I know that's a little bit boring, but you can't argue with the classic. This is one of the most iconic levels in video game history. It really is. Everyone can recognise that iconic brown checkered soil, the big palm trees and the sunflowers. It really is a video game paradise. The background, you've got the waterfalls and a big lake. It's a symphony of blue. You've got things like platforms that crumble away when you run across them. This level you really do get some speed. You get to see how fast Sonic can go. Probably the fastest in the whole game, and it is just so much fun watching him fly through those loops and areas. There's secret passageways which you can break through if you curl up into a ball and go through to different parts of the levels. There's so much going on. You can run behind waterfalls later, which is just, it's just such a great looking level. It's so colourful too. Really friendly theme, friendly catchy song. Again, one of those iconic songs that everyone knows. It's just great. It encompasses everything that Sonic the Hedgehog is, and not just this game, but across the whole franchise. Green Hill Zone is classic. So there we go, guys. They were my least favourite through to my favourite zones in Sonic the Hedgehog, the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know your zone rankings for Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Please feel free to put them in the comments below. I'd love to see what your favourites and least favourites were. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe. There will be more Sonic content coming very soon, and I'm really excited because the games only get better from here. Not that Sonic 1 wasn't great, it was, but the games only get better from here. So until then, I will see you next time.